Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Welcome to the segment of Khoj Gurbani's a-sabad-a-day. Our recitation is the 9th pauri of War Rag Maj Mahalla Pehla. Slok Mahalla Pehla, Nadeeya Hovey Dhenava, Sum Hove Dudh Kiyo, Sagli Dharti Sakkar Hove, Khushi Kare Nit Jiyo, Parbat Soina Rupa Hove, हीरे लाल जड़ाओ भी तू है सालाहना आखण लहे नचाओ महल्ला पहला पार अठारह मेवा होवै गरुड़ा होए सुआओ चंद सूरज दोई फिरदे रखिए है नहचल होवै थाओ भी तू है सालाहना आखण लहे ननाओ महल्ला पहला जे दे है दुख लाइए पाप ग्रह दोए राहो रत पीणे राजे सिरे ऊपर रखिए एवै जापे भाओ भी तू है सालाहना आखण लहे न नाओ आखण लहे न चाओ महल्ला पहला अग्गी पाला कपड़ होवै खाना होवे वाओ सुरगे दियां मोहनियां इस्त्रियां होवन नानक सब्बो चाओ भी तू है सालाहना आखण लहे न नाओ पौड़ी बद फैली गै बानी खसम न जानई सो कहिए देवाना आप न पछाणही कलह बुरी संसार वादे खपिए विन नावे वेकार पर में पचिए राह दोवें इक जाने सोई सिजसी कुफर कुफर गोआ कुफराने पया ढजसी सब दुनिया सुबहान सच समाइए संजय धर दीवान आप गवाइए. So we have seen a similar theme in Sri Rag where the refrain was Bhi teri कीमत ना पवे and the refrain here is Bhi tu hai salahana आखन लहा न चाओ. So there is an urgency, a yearning that Guru Nanak is expressing in the midst of life. And this is also an address to our own narcissistic fascinations or fantasies, if you will, because here's what he's saying. Even if the rivers were like cow giving milk, or butter and milk were to gush forth, sum hove dudh kiyo, if all earth, sagli tarti, were to become jaggery or sugar, now these are all commodities that are valuable. If I could enjoy all of this, Guru Nanak says, khushi kare nit jiyo, if I had mountains of gold and silver, parbat soina rupa hove, and if these mountains were studded with jewels and pearls, hire lal jadao, and yet, amid such abundance, bhi tu hai salahana, akhana lehe na chao, my longing for you would not diminish, I would glorify you. So we will talk about what glorification means and what longing means. The second slok carries the theme further. Par atharah meva hove, gurada hoy suao. If all vegetation, par atharah, this is a reference to the 18 loads of vegetation, meaning a metaphor for all vegetation, flora. If all vegetation were to turn to fruit, meva hove, if grass were to taste like soft rice, garuda hoye suao. Garuda is a special kind of soft rice, apparently, that was very desirable. If all of this could happen, and then if I were so strong as to be able to stop the moon and sun in their orbit, chand suraj doe firde rakhiye, while seated steadily, nechal hove thao, if I had all this kind of strength, if I had this kind of capacity, if such resources were available to me, bhi tu hai salahana, akhan lahe na chao. With all this strength, it is your glorification that Guru Nanak seeks. My longing, he says, he prays that my longing should not diminish. Mahalla Pehla, the fourth shlok. Je deh dukh laiye, paap kare duhe raho. Here he talks about a reverse situation. If my body were afflicted with pain, and I found myself under the evil spell of the planets, Papa Greh, Due Rahu, we all have heard of Rahu Ketu, ill omen. If life were ill omened and I was afflicted with pain, Ratapinne Raje Sir Upar, now here he's talking about the political situation. If blood-sucking kings governed me, if I was subjected to kings who exploited me, if this were my condition, Rakhe eve, if you were to keep me in this condition, even then I would consider it to be your love for me. Jape pao, manu tera pao japega e. Kete dukh puk sadmar, ehbe daat teri datar. The fourth slok, the previous one was the third one. Aggi pala kappad hove, khana hove wow. Here he is specifically pointing to the yogis who are kind of involved in these kinds of practices. If fire and cold were the garments I wore, aggi pala kappad hove, and air were my sustenance, if beautiful and heavenly women in paradise were to seduce me, an obvious reference to Behisht that we talked about in the previous passage, the Muslim being assured of 72 virgins, this is some kind of same idea. If beautiful and heavenly women in paradise were to seduce me, Guru Nanak says, yet, bhi tu hai salahana, it is you that I would glorify. My longing would not diminish. And then we come to the Pauri. But the fairly transgressing. But the fairly is to transgress a norm, to violate, evil doing, immoral, many connotations. So the Guru says, but the fairly, the transgressor, Gaibanna khasam na janne. The transgressor fails to perceive the hidden master within. Gaibanna, secret, absent, hidden. Because it is imperceptible, we think we can get away with anything because we don't perceive it inside. So kahiye devanna, call such a person crazy, for they recognize not their self. Aap na pachan nahi. And then he speaks of the world. Kalah buri sansar vadde khapiye. Sansar vadde khapiye. The world is consumed by conflict. And in conflict, there is much suffering. Without developing divine qualities, when nave, life is wasted, vekar. And in doubt, one perishes. Parme pachiye. It's a waste of life without establishing, developing the qualities that are your potential. And Guruji says, Rah dome ik jane sei sijsi. What is success? Successful, sijsi. It doesn't matter which opposing path you choose. The successful one is that where you begin to recognize oneness in all of creation. That is the truth. And kufar goe kufranne paya tajasi, the one who will burn, the one who will fail, in other words, is the one who fails to understand this truth, the truth of oneness. He believes in kufr, in the lie of many. So there are two generic orientations that are mentioned in Gurbani, live and tat. Live is inner-centeredness, tat is the external rat race. Opposite paths could be manmukh, gurmukh, householder, renunciate, Sur, Asur, Hindu, Muslim. It doesn't matter, Guru Nanak says. If you recognize oneness, you're on the right path. Sab duniya subhan sach samaya. If you do that, then the world is pleasant and agreeable. Because then, Sajje Dardivan Aap Gavaiye. Then you are in harmony with the eternal. Satya Samaye, and success belongs to those who give up their narcissism. Aap Gavaiye. So the refrain in this salok is quite like what we've seen in Sri Rag, and we notice here the admonition for us is to remain centered no matter what our external conditions. Salahan, it means I want to be operating from a different level of consciousness, not a consciousness that is constantly demanding, wanting, desire, right? So Salahan means I want to be able to operate from a different level of consciousness. That is the longing. And so an unknown, unfathomable Akal Purakh, how do you react? You react by glorification. Glorification means you simply perpetuate in harmony with Hukam. You evolve yourself and you evolve others. On that note, Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.